Hello guys, we're going to try this again. Let me just go in and first try to see if we can get food finders to join us. All right. All right. There we go. Hello.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good,
So
thank you.
hello everybody. Welcome to another IG Talks live. Today, as we are in the midst of the holiday season, I'm sure everyone is running around. I think we have but 2 weeks left before the year completes another monumental year, I'll say, in the stretch that we are all experiencing. So today we were talking about one of the things that we all think about during holidays. We're talking about food. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Executive Director Diana Lara from Food Finders. She's based out in Orange County, California. And today we're going to learn about all the wonderful things they do. They go out and rescue food and help those in need. So I'd love to dive in. So let's get started because I know some of you had joined earlier last week and now we're continuing. So hello, welcome, Laura, Diana.
Hi, and thank you so much for having, Food Finders on and myself. It's always, like you said, the holidays, people are thinking about, gifts and planning their meals. And it's a great time to really think about those that don't have the things that we all do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for bringing the subject to light.
Yes. So I guess can you tell us a little bit about what Food Finders does and sort of how you got started even with the organization?
Perfect. So Food Finders, we are a resource that connects surplus food to people in need. We've been doing this for 33 years now, and we do that through a network of 600 plus food donors. We have 400 plus nonprofits that we work with, and 200 really dedicated volunteers. We call them food rescue heroes. Food Finders covers all of LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino counties, and Riverside counties. And that is something that really surprises people because they think, oh, you only service LA. And many times we hear,
Mhm.
oh, you only service Long Beach. And it's like, oh, no, we service all four counties.
Wow. That's a
And
lot of people.
it really is. And we couldn't do it without that network of amazing volunteers that we have and our partner agencies. In our 33 years, we've collected a total of 205 million pounds of food, which is just incredible because when you put it into the perspective is this 2 million pounds of food would have gone into a landfill had it not been rescued. So that, is something that we are extremely proud of. And then when you convert that to meals, we're over 171 million meals have been provided to individuals. So it
Wow.
really, truly is a blessing.
Yeah, and that's, the thing I think we don't think about, especially here. I'm just going to say America because, every country is different. But in America, I think we waste food. We don't even, we don't realize how much, those little, especially during the holidays, you're like, oh,
Right?
you eat with your eyes, as they say.
Right.
sometimes, sometimes that extra piece of pie looks better than it feels in your stomach. And then you take 2 bites and you're like, I can't do it. I'm full, and there it goes. And that could have, and not necessarily pie. And it's not the healthy, but I love sweets. um and that could have, of course, filled somebody else's tummy, and we don't or stomach. And you can tell I hang out with a 2-year-old a lot. um and so yes, and so your stomach, somebody else's stomach could have been full from all of that, and it is something also I think from this is just what I've heard in the past, and I don't know, I'm sure you've encountered this too, is that sometimes people have a controversy of using food that isn't, just, fresh out of the field or something like that, especially here in California, where I guess you could say we're like kind of health nuts and, think
Right.
about every little detail.
Right.
I wanted to talk about a little bit about how, I guess let's talk about that barrier and how you get people past that barrier of using things that are not necessarily, beautiful. Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's not just, that extra bite of pie. It's that cilantro that you bought that you didn't get to use all. And what do you do with the rest of, the other half of it that you didn't get to use? It's that cabbage that, again, you didn't use. The household waste is the highest waste that goes into a landfill. And I don't think people realize that. When it comes to, like, expired foods, that's a really big, issue, because a lot of people will not. Oh, well, it says it has an expiration date, but people don't realize that there is no FDA regulation, USDA regulation on those expiration dates, and you have expired by, used by, sell by. I mean, what do all these different dates mean? And who puts those dates on the food but the manufacturer? And what do they want you to do? They want you to buy more, right?
Yeah.
And those are all the things that you have to think about when it comes to, do I throw this out? For me, it's always does it smell good? Does it taste good?
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty
Uh-huh.
simple.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
if
Yes.
it smells good and it tastes good, it's good for you. So,
Mhm.
and I am glad that the government is actually working on setting just 2 dates. And I think that'll really clear up a lot of confusion for people. So let's hope they can get that past, Congress, and really start implementing something that will help tremendously as it relates to food waste. But yeah, it's always use your, does it smell good and does it taste good? Then it's probably good for you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's the barrier I think that probably blocks a lot of people from, to moving forward in those ways. And one of the other things, just because here at Project Good Work, we work with clients that are located in all different places in the world. And so a lot of people outside of the U.S. have a perception that we don't have necessarily a hunger problem. We're just maybe,
Mm,
picky or something. They look at the U.S. as like
right.
we're the richest country in the world, so why should we have this hunger problem? Can you explain, I guess, how large the hunger issue is?
Oh, absolutely. Currently 1 in 6 Americans is struggling with food insecurity. And that was really exacerbated by COVID. Prior to COVID, we were probably about 1 in 3, maybe 1 in 4. During the height of COVID, I mean, you saw in the news the lines of people that were now going to food banks that had never been to a food bank before. So I think that number rose up to like 1 in 8, 1 in 9 were struggling with food insecurity during COVID. Now, when you take that number and you put a percentage on it, it's 25 million Americans
Wow.
that struggle. I'm sorry, 25% of the households, 10 million people that are struggling with food insecurity just in the US. So that's significant. Um,
Yeah.
and it's not only do they not have enough to eat that day, but they might not have enough to eat for the week. um, and the ramifications of that on learning, because kids make up a big portion of those 10 million people. It affects their mental capacity, it affects how they learn, it affects their growth, it affects whether they're more sickly or not. I mean, it's just like a domino effect. So no, we definitely have a problem here in the U.S. And I think some of the, and we all know this, some of the main reasons that we struggle with hunger is lower underemployment. I mean, think about the state of California. Rents are sky high.
Yes.
How do
Mhm.
you, if you're working at a restaurant or in a minimum wage job, how do you keep a roof over your head and food on the table and buy gas at $6 a gallon? It's it just, we can't. So that's a big factor. Low educational attainment. A lot of people aren't graduating from college, and that affects, that also is a domino effect because it limits what you can make. So that's one of the issues. Racial and ethnic discrimination is alive and well. And we saw it again during COVID. It was very, very in our faces that people of color were really struggling. So that continues to be an issue. Family instability, um, exposure to violence, at a younger age,
Mhm.
domestic violence. These are all factors. People's choices that people make. These all factor into that food insecurity problem. So we really have to take a look at, we can provide, right? We've collected millions of pounds of food, but how
Mhm.
is that going to affect the issues that we see if we don't change what's happening in the home?
Right.
I was reading that the statistic is that 40,000 children are born to unmarried parents,
Wow.
and households with unmarried head of households will struggle with food insecurity. It just, and if you've got 40% of children born into that, you know, how does that bode for that child? Is it a vicious cycle that continues to happen? So, there's just so much that we have to think about when it comes to food insecurity and really making an impact beyond
Yeah.
food.
Yes, and you bring a point, and you bring that the cliche saying of "you are what you eat" to a whole different level. Of course, people are usually just thinking about it from a physicality standpoint of,
Right.
I'm going to be fat or overweight or skinny, but it's much deeper than that. It really goes into your mindset and how you are, viewing the world. And then it also, because of each individual, even though we think that we are these islands, that we really are connected in a much deeper way than we can ever imagine. And
Absolutely.
even if you are a person that perhaps like never gets married or something like that, you still have effect on the people around you, and and the things that you are consuming internally really do have a deeper societal effect and community effect. And so you brought to light such, the importance of not only what you're doing at Food Finders, but the importance of food, that it is beyond just the, traditional nutrition that we are thinking about, and
Right.
that food is really tied to all of these things. And then, I'm going to go a little bit off of a tangent, but it
Go
is
ahead.
relevant to the topic still, because right now, one of the biggest things, earlier this year, we did a podcast on the food revolution. And we looked at how food is changing in society, and also how it's being affected, especially right now when we have a war out in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that 30% of the production for wheat and things like that, and wheat, of course, is used for many different things to create um, um, different products that we
Right.
consume and stuff like that. And not having access. That's why we've seen this inflation in prices and things like that when you go at the supermarket. I think everybody's been affected in some way
Right.
when they go to the grocery store. And and because of this, then this this war actually is having a ripple effect on how other places in the world are getting food, of course, their prices, and then we're seeing a start of unfortunate famines and things throughout the world,
Exactly.
and just like you just mentioned, because of that, we should not be surprised, I guess, that then we start seeing these other things. But the biggest effect, I think, is going to be our future generation, because they're the
Hmm.
ones that unfortunately take the brunt of all of this stuff that starts to happen.
Absolutely.
Um,
I agree
yes,
100%. And it's,
amen.
we haven't even, I didn't even talk about inflation, but again, who is that going to affect more than anybody? Those people that are already struggling.
Right.
Mhm.
And also, one of the things that was in the news, I'm sure you were already on top of it, is like especially the kids that had were dependent on school lunches and things
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So yes, so everyone, it's not just it's bigger than you are what you eat. It's expansive in so many ways. It's more than just what's on your plate in front of you. That it affects everyone. Think about even what you're consuming, how much you're consuming, and it's just yeah, the ripple effect of food is it's one of my favorite topics. That's why I stress on it. Not just only eating it, but I love cooking. And many years ago, I thought about I was like. Practicing to be a chef, so I absolutely love food, and the importance of it is
Yep.
not appreciated, I think, enough by people, that it really is a big root of a lot of our problems. So,
It really is. And we
mhm.
talk about sharing a meal, sharing that, during the Thanksgiving holiday, you sit around a table and you exchange stories, and, it's a time for people to gather. Well, those people struggling with food insecurity want those same things, right? And for Thanksgiving, we distributed almost 2,700 turkeys and boxes, and that was half of what we did last year because of inflation and the cost of food. But it's still, for those families that receive that, it meant that they could be just like everybody else. They could be at that table together, sharing that meal together. So, yeah, it's amazing, what food does. It's more than just a meal. There's so much more that, food is uniting. The best way to get your kids home is to say, I'm cooking dinner, right?
Yes.
It really
Yes.
is. So, it's, and again, people don't think about that bigger effect on people struggling with food insecurity. So it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yes. So yeah, if anything, I would say food is the start of community.
Hmm.
And the last question I have is, because I know you're busy, and how can people, I guess, help or contribute to food finders?
So, we are a very volunteer based organization, and we definitely need volunteers. Please go to our website, foodfinders.org, and it takes less than an hour of your time to sign up, to pick up food, and we give you a place to pick it up from. We tell you where to take it to. It takes less than an hour of your time. We have an app. Everything is so simple. It's all in the Food Finders app on, either iTunes or Apple, or what is the other one? The Play Store, um,
Yes.
right? So definitely volunteer your time. If you can't volunteer, we're always in need of donations. For every dollar donated to the organization, we're able to provide 11 meals.
Wow.
I think that's a really good return on your investment, right?
Yeah,
For every
that's
dollar.
amazing. I wish I could get that when I go
Ex-
to
ex-
start.
exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
please, if you, have the ability, please think about donating to Food Finders and making a difference. It impacts a lot of people with that one-time donation. We almost have our crypto page set up, so hopefully in the new year we can now accept crypto. What other ways? Jump onto our social media pages and share our posts. Let people know about who we are and what we do, because that conversation that you shared, it's amazing. Yesterday we had to have our van towed, and I was talking to the gentleman that was giving him all of our info and where the truck was, and he tells me, "Do you pick up produce?" I said, "Yeah, I have a truck in LA every day." Well, my friend has a produce company. But it's that conversation piece, right? It's talking to people and sharing information that opens up so much more. So definitely share share our social media pages. What else? What else can you do? I mean, there's just so much. Help if you're not local, find a local food bank that you can help, because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to keep food out of the landfill, and we're trying to feed people in need. And definitely look at ways to curb your food waste at home, because we all, like you mentioned earlier, we all throw food away. And if there's a lot of things that we can do, and we share a lot of tips. We have tips on our website that can help with, different ways to not waste food in your own home. So you definitely want to take a look at your own personal food waste.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Well, thank you just so much for the insight and, showing us that, food has a bigger perspective than we think about. So during this holiday season, hopefully when we look at our plate, we'll be a little bit more cognizant not to overindulge.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go. Thank you for having, myself on, as well as Food Finders, and sharing our mission with people.
Yes, thank you, and have a wonderful holiday season, and Happy New Year, and hopefully a wonderful, wonderful 2023.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.